intelligent where defense was actually put in, where you could actually call things on the field?
I'd say we got out of everything I hoped to do during my time here at Ohio State, we probably got up to maybe 2/3 of it.
Is that better than you hoped for?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot to it, and there's a constant management of, how much to put in, and then, because the burden on the players, really, that's where it becomes, and you want them to be able to play fast, and so it's a constant judgment call. But I thought it took me a lot longer other places I've been.
Jim, as the linebackers coach, how exciting is it to have James Laurinaitis coming in to work alongside you?
Yeah, I mean, that's, it's always exciting when you have a guy to come in and coach with you who also has his picture on your wall, I've seen the guy every day for a year, so now to meet him in person, he's a legend, All-American, pro, Buckeye, and having a veteran core of linebackers coming back, I think it's good to have someone come in who can, work with them individually, technique-wise, and maybe do some different things that I've done. So I'm interested to see what he brings in terms of technique, less on the system, but more on how he actually played the position and the things that he believes in.
What do you see in James that makes you think he's going to be a good coach?
He's passionate, he's committed, he understands the game, both the micro and macro detail. He's just a football guy all around, who's intelligent and hardworking, played the game at the highest level. There's so many positives for him in terms of his career.
Jim, much of the conversation at this time last year was you weren't going to make personnel decisions off of the previous season, weren't concerned about that. As a coach now in year 2 for you, and having helped build the roster, been around the roster, coached it for a year, does that give you a head start for spring, or do you still want to go in to March and April with a clean slate?
Yeah, there's not there's film, there's video now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's, that's what we're spending our time going through right now. Initially, even before we move on to talk about the system and where we want to go with it, we're talking about each player individually, because you can pull their plays, right, and you can look at their strengths and weaknesses. So now that I have a year under a belt, my job is to say, okay, with the guys we have coming back, what do they do best? And talk about those things. It's not that what I know, but it's what they do best. And now we have video to look at.
How much do you see? You probably have a much clearer picture of what you think it's going to look like in terms of depth chart or personnel or packages, but it's also probably a time of experimentation. What's the balance between those two? How much experimenting would you want to do over those 15 practices?
Yeah, I think the experimentation part of it, which is always fun for guys who are creative to do, probably about 25%. I think we'll want to look at some things, some ideas that I have in spring, in that 25%, but 3/4 of it has to be getting better at the base techniques, things we need to do, to win every game, and the things we, looking at the explosive plays, things that might have hurt us, and being able to show those to the players, and then saying, okay, this is how we're going to fix that. Not necessarily with a call or a creativity, because I like that, and I put a lot of onus on myself to do that. Anytime a defense doesn't work, I blame myself. But that's not the world the players live in. They live in, okay, how are you going to get me better, coach, at these fundamentals, techniques? So you have to invest at least 3/4 of spring ball doing that, getting better.
How much of the experimenting will involve Sonny?
Yeah, a lot. He's an interesting athlete, and I mean, the guy played in the CFP. You saw we broke him out and did well against premier tight ends. So, yeah, there will be some movement with Sonny. At the same time, you want to settle him in somewhere and allow him just to play. So kind of that 3/4 thing again with him, because there are a lot of ideas and things I have for him. At the same time, I want to see him settle into a position and play.
And what can happen for him in the spring? He didn't have that last year. What can happen for him in the next couple of months?
Well, I mean, I think he can make tremendous improvements with techniques, really, right? Techniques at the highest level of football, because he's a guy who does see the big picture, and he's got tremendous athletic skills, and he's got the right mindset and attitude, and instinct. So for him, I think it's just the improvements that he's going to make with the techniques of the position.
When you look back on that CFP game against Georgia, how often have you watched film from that game? What do you kind of like draw on the most as a learning experience?
I only watched it one time so far, probably, and then cut it up and put it into different places. Positives, obviously, in that the adjustments we made, the things we did in the third quarter, that show me and that can show our guys that we can have a defense that wins the national championship. When you look at that, you want to go back and look at how a premier offense and a great quarterback, the things that they did to hurt us. We want to make sure that we look at those, but at the same time, you can emphasize the positives and the good things we did against their tight ends and the things that they were strong at that we did well at. So it's just so valuable because it's the best competition in the country. You know what I mean? So you're not speculating anymore. You can actually say, look, here's how this held up, good and bad, against the best competition in the country.
How much does having both of your linebackers back help you just on the back end time to spend with other position groups, since they kind of know the system, they know what you want, and then kind of do it?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, getting Tommy and Steele back, those guys now, they know the system, they know me, we work so well together. I feel like they made massive improvements throughout the season. I've broken down them individually, so now I can kind of give them a plan on what we want to do. And you're right, it is not a position of stress because you feel good about them, and I can really look at working with some other areas.
They both expressed where they can get better at a little bit. Where do you see improvement that they can make? Because they said improvement is why they want to come back in the first place.
Yeah. Steele is a guy who has, very coachable, has athletic skills. So we want to really work with Steele on his hands and like the inside fight, like inside the box. He operates well on the perimeter, and he did fine inside. But I think as he grows in his career and next level stuff, he's going to have to face those physical challenges inside by really using his hands more. And I think there's a lot of things that we can do with Tommy in terms of pass coverage and getting him involved in getting his hands on the ball more, just working with him more on route progression and those kind of things.
Jim, Coach Day said after the game and then a while ago to us, obviously the big plays, the explosive plays that went for touchdowns especially were killer. What have you redressed in your brain, in your mind, during maybe sleepless nights or not over the last month, of maybe how to switch things up a little bit, or you understand what I'm saying? How much is it haunt you, I guess, to a certain extent?
Oh, it haunts me all the time. But I mean, switching things up, that's not the answer, because I think we do that well enough. I think when you look at the extensiveness of our package and the different call, we had enough change-ups, but
Yeah.
it's a matter to me of, like any time a play goes bad, I always want to critique myself on the call on that play and that situation, and if I had it back, blah blah blah. What would I do? Those are the things that keep me up. But really, it's just about the technique of, and I've got to be, now that I'm coming into year 2, I've got to be even more demanding and push and put on more steam with the players individually on the preciseness of the technique. That's and I got to really bear down. You're coming in the first year, and you want to make sure that everybody has, that you make that connection with everybody. And now's the time for me to use it. I need to use that connection and really push. Now I need to push, and hone down on those techniques, because we have enough on film now to show. Look at this technique. It's the same play that we did here, and then we gave it up here. So the bear is in the detail, and that's what I really need to push.
Yeah, and if the ball does come out, it does end up being a one-on-one battle a lot, right? I mean,
a lot. A lot.
Have y'all redressed it all, though? Maybe, I don't know, not having a safe, for one of another term, not having a deep safety back no matter what. You understand what I'm saying? Because a couple of those plays could have at least not gone the distance if there maybe been somebody there. I mean, I'm just getting in your brain.
Yeah, no, and I look at that. I do, and I also look at the times we did have a deep safety back and we didn't make the play. You know what I mean? There are those too. So I don't know. Everything gets looked at, and like I said, when a play goes bad, I blame myself. Because they're always. I always think I should have made a different call. Because that's the onus I put on myself. Like you said, I should have been in this. I should have been in that. Those are things I really keep to myself, because those don't affect the players. The players want to know, okay, you made this call. How do I get better? How do I get better at that call? What did I do wrong? In my technique. And how do I get you better at that technique on that call? And like I said, the bear is in the detail. I got to really hone down and push and to take these guys to a higher level in their performance. I mean, but that's why you build relationships, and that's why you come to Ohio State, because they want that. So we have time here now to bear down, see the mistakes, see the good things, and keep pushing.
One of the quick, you might have been asked this, but what do you hope to get out of James Laurinaitis? Here's a guy that won every award you could win, 3-time All-American. He's showed he's serious about coaching, this past season and stuff. What do you hope to get from him? What do you hope he brings to the table?
I think, number one, he brings that love and passion for Ohio State and instant credibility with recruits and players. Instant credibility. And then what he can do with it, like I was saying earlier, is that, okay, we have a system, we have veterans, and now let's see what kind of techniques and nuance, that's the technique and nuance that he brings to the position, whereas I may have coached something one way, he can say, well, this is how I did it, or this is how we did it in the NFL, this is what helped me make plays. This is what he say, I made a lot of plays using this technique, so the system's going to be the system, but he can bring a lot of new things to our players, and that'll be good for them.
Jim, in the safety spot, you probably have more moving parts there maybe than anywhere else in the defense. Tanner going, Ronnie going as the adjuster. How do you see that group shaking out? Who are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lathan's going to have the ability to play both the bandit and the adjuster. I think Josh Proctor, I'm really hoping to come into his own. We know he has skill, and I'm really hoping looking for him to make a push this year. Sonny, Sonny's going to be somewhere, and you're right, there's a lot of moving parts. Where is he going to be? But he's a talented guy. Kai Stokes, coming out of last spring, was like, wow, this kid can play. he didn't really get a chance to this year. And we haven't seen Cam much at nickel because, of injuries. I mean, when I've seen him healthy, I've been really impressed with him. Reminds me of a guy we had at Duke who's in the NFL now, Michael Carter, who's, maybe a shorter guy, but just dynamic with his feet. I think Cam, the sky's the limit for him. And then Jihad we got, so I mean, you like watching him on film. So yeah, a lot of moving parts, but I feel like there's a chance for us to even get better there.
Does Jihad fit the nickel spot he played? I think some
Yeah,
of
he
that
could. He played both nickel and high safety. That's he has a lot of tools. So we'll try him out in both areas because he's, we're going to see where he fits best because I think he can help us for sure.
Do you like all that interchangeability? It seems like guys.
I love the interchangeability at safety. I do, because here's what happens. Formations flip. All of a sudden it's formation into the boundary or the short side of the field. Now guys take on different roles. Things happen all the time. So as much flexibility as you can have at the safety position, the better.
Is that more than you had last year?
I think there's a chance. Particularly as you move. Now guys continue to understand the system. I think there's a real chance for us to be even more flexible.
Do you think that Latham is really in a position to blossom, actually having a normal off-season, full year?
Yeah,
in the spring and
I have all the faith in Latham, and yeah, he's got a chance to have an off-season, to be healthy, to study and improve his game and be a leader for us.
Feels like a lot of times when we ask Coach Day about breakdowns, either side of the ball in the last year or two, he essentially said the breakdowns are due to one of three things. It's coaching, it's scheme, or it's personnel. Should we read into the fact that there have been lots of changes with personnel in the back end of the defense, guys leaving, guys coming in, beyond just the normal attrition of, hey, you've got incoming freshmen and guys that are graduating?
No, I don't think so. I think there was all kind of natural stuff, and guys who maybe see a better opportunity somewhere else. But honestly, I don't feel like there's anything to read into there. I think we're in good shape and really like our players.
You talk about playing offense on defense. What have you seen in the recruitment of Jermaine Matthews and watching him and evaluating him as a high school receiver?
Yeah, I think he's going to bring an energy. He's a pretty dynamic kid. And we offered him late as you consider it now in that procedure, because it was like camp last year, and then he just exploded his senior year. So I'm really excited. When a guy commits, you really don't know what he's going to do senior year, but he really showed that he's a playmaker.
I think Ryan said back in the December signing day, you really worked him out, and he had to kind of maybe take it a little easier on him. But what did you see in that June day?
We kind of took him into the deep water, I call it. You know what I mean? And he just, I saw the feet and the quickness but then really what you see too is the fact that he did it all with a smile on his face, and I think that's important because he had the right attitude.
Jim, it's obviously a luxury to have Tom and Steelback, but how do you manage the reps in practice for a 4-2-5 system when you still got young guys that you want to develop as well?
Yeah, those older guys in spring won't get as many reps. You'll because we know what they can do. You kind of have enough to keep them fresh, and maybe you want to teach them a couple new things here and there. But for the most part, you want to work, those young guys, make sure they get the reps.